In today's Doctor Who product review, I'm going to be taking a look at another B&M exclusive action figure collector set, this time round the second of the collaboration sets between Character Options and Big Finish. As in today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the 7th Doctor and Axis Strike Dalek from the Doctor Who Big Finish spin-off series, Gallifrey. This set features a brand new take on a new series Bronze Dalek featuring an updated colour scheme alongside a 7th Doctor that is meant to be from the later half of his incarnation into Doctor Who the movie in 1996. As with all of the B&M collector sets from 2019, the recommended retail for this set is $19.99 and it is available to be purchased from B&M stores throughout the UK. I do believe that these are limited to 6,000 units and there is enough to go around, so there is absolutely no need to cave for the scalper prices on eBay, and by doing so you're just supporting their cause even further. So I certainly recommend buying these from in-store if you have the opportunity, as opposed to buying online. This review is going to be of the B&M exclusive variation that is available from B&M stores and not the Big Finish website exclusive edition that does feature a few updated paint apps and is limited edition to only 150 units. As per usual, the packaging of this set is really lovely and incredibly stylish. In the top corner we have the Doctor Who logo, along with a really nice window that gives a preview to the figures on the inside of the box that also stretches to the top as well as around to the side. At the sides of the box we have the traditional Big Finish sidebar featuring the 7th Doctor's face within the time vortex, and on the sides of the plastic bubble we have the limited edition golden sticker. On the bottom banner of the box we have the title of the set printed, and at the opposite side we have the Character Options and Big Finish logo, along with the title of the Big Finish box set that both of these figures apparently appeared in. Much like the other two box sets within this series, the side of the box does include the Big Finish box set artwork for the Gallifrey series release, including the Dalek that is included within the set, along with a few Gallifrey series characters along the top, including K9, Leela, Romana, and the Big Finish creation being Narvin, played by Sean Carlson. This is a great inclusion and makes the box set feel incredibly unique. The back of the box is your usual 5.5 collector series style guide, including a graphic of the TARDIS down the side, as well as featuring a biography write-up about the Gallifrey series and stating that this is the 7th Doctor from the later half of his incarnation, along with another look at the Big Finish cover for this Gallifrey series, also stating that it is available to be purchased on the Big Finish website. Top of the box features the same information once again, making it obvious that this is from the Big Finish audio drama series, and the bottom of the box features your usual lovely company information. Overall, the packaging that has been created for these sets is probably some of the best action figure packaging actually that has been released over the past few years. It looks incredibly smart and stylish and really nicely represents the Big Finish artwork as well. And of course, in this point in the review I would just like to state, if you are interested in the other sets as released as a part of this series, including the 8th Doctor and Dalek Interrogator Prime, I have already reviewed that product earlier this month, and a review of the War Doctor along with the Dalek Scientist will be available to watch in the next couple of days. All three of the Big Finish Doctor Dalek sets do also come with this backdrop, nicely depicting a battle within the Time War, including some Dalek battle sources, and of course a few rather nice explosions within the Time Vortex, which is a really lovely touch and something that really sets off the product. So here we have the 7th Doctor and the Axis Strike Dalek out of the box. Now once again, much like the 8th Doctor and Dalek Interrogator Prime, this set is a rather creative and visually interesting one, seeing two rather unusual looking figures that do of course use the sculpts of previous releases over the past few years, however in a manner that isn't necessarily expected. Of course the 7th Doctor is a strikingly different design compared to that of your usual 7th Doctor figure, using a completely different colour palette. And the Dalek is of course your regular new series Dalek, however painted in a colour scheme that is oddly really satisfying, and you could probably imagine it within the TV show itself. So firstly, taking a look at the 7th Doctor, of course this figure does use the standard regular body of every other 7th Doctor figure, however this time round the paint has been entirely changed to look like a later version of the 7th Doctor from the later half of his era, so this is either his last few adventures or into Doctor Who the movie, because his costume within Doctor Who the movie was rather similar in colour scheme at least to the one seen on this figure. Of course the actual clothing that he wore in the early half of of the movie itself before he was shot down by the gang and then of course inevitably regenerating into Paul McGann. The colour scheme was pretty similar on that costume to what this figure does represent. However, due to the clothing being the original 7th Doctor figure, it does look visually quite different. However, that said, at the same time, there is a very interesting note on the biography on the back of the box, which reads, "Towards the end of his 7th incarnation, the Doctor embraced his Time Lord heritage and agreed to work as a special agent for Lord President Romana, including the capture of renegade Time Lord the 11. Now that sequence was in fact seen within the 8th Doctor Adventures, the Doom Coalition series in episode 1, also called the 11, which seen a cameo from Sylvester McCoy. And the interesting part is that in the Doctor Who Big Finish main range in 2020, we will see some adventures with Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor going up against Mark Bonnard as the 11, and I have a feeling that they're going to do a very similar thing to what they did with the 6th Doctor by using his on-screen costume, however entirely changing the colour palette of that costume to look like the one that is used on this very figure here. So quite possibly we've got an action figure of a costume that hasn't directly even been seen on a Big Finish cover art as of yet, but may at some point in the near future. Of course that isn't definite, it's just an idea that I have, but I think especially given their past with the 6th Doctor and changing his coat to blue, I've got reasonable grounds to kind of assume that that may in fact happen. So taking a closer look at the 7th Doctor's costume, as you can see we start off at the very top with your usual sculpt of a white shirt, which as per usual has indeed been painted white. In between this we do have a tie section, which is exactly the same sculpt to all of the other 7th Doctors. However, as opposed to being a silver and brown design or a red design, this has now been replaced entirely by a light brown tie, along with a few black swished lines added over the top. In the very middle of the jacket itself we do also have the inclusion of a woolen knitted jumper. This still includes a few little pleated sections at the very bottom to give the impression of a wool design, along with the V section at the very top. But other than that, it is just one simple block colour. And then of course in the very middle we do get the sculpting of this scarf section, which I do believe was in fact absent from the Doctor Who the movie costume, and as per usual this has been given a rather nice rippled design within the actual sculpt. However, unlike all the other versions of the 7th Doctor, this doesn't have any detailing on whatsoever, as a regular 7th Doctor figure would normally have a few swishes and swirls here and there, very much like the tie section at the very top. As per usual we do also have the sculpting of the lapels of the actual scarf, along with the inclusion of the chin, which does of course link to the top half of the pocket. This has once again been painted a gold colour, which although this has been inaccurate on all of the previous 7th Doctor figures, this may in fact be accurate on the Big Finish costume, because we haven't really seen it, and hey, it's audio. He may have in fact had a gold chin at some point. Over the top of all this detailing, we do also have the inclusion of the 7th Doctor's coat, which is once again exactly the same sculpt to usual. Just below this, we do have the inclusion of the handkerchief there, which is exactly the same sculpt and rather nicely flowing down the figure's body. However, much like the scarf, this is now absent of any detailing and has just been painted in a standard block colour of burgundy red. As for the rest of the jacket itself, this is just a rather nice looking light brown colour. On the very back we do have a series of creases once again along this small belt section. The button on the very back here has in fact been painted a dark brown colour. The same detailing of the dark brown paint tap is also used on the cuffs of the jacket, which is a really nice touch, and as per usual the hands have been sculpted in your standard open palm position. And now moving down to the lower half of the figure, we have the inclusion of the 7th Doctor's trousers, which I suppose in a hark back to the regular classic series TV costume, these are once again a rather nice checkered design. There has been a little bit of a debate as to what is in fact accurate to the ones as seen within the TV movie, but to be quite honest, I really don't care, because this figure, at the end of the day, is an entirely different costume in the first place, and the sculpt looks absolutely nothing like the costume as seen within the movie, so if anything, the least of my issues is down to if the checkered trousers are right or not, or if they've used the right shade of blue. As you can see, we have a rather interesting and visually striking design that is much different to the ones as seen on the previous 7th Doctor figures that normally use a light brown design, or even a light grey design. This time around we have a very dark grey design that has been used on the checkers, along with the highlight of this unusual blue shade added over the top, and we do even have a few lighter shades of grey in there as well. They are very unusual and quite quirky. To be honest, they are the type of trousers that I will probably wear on a day-to-day basis. I'm sad to admit, I know, but I think they look alright. I think they're an interesting design, as I say, with a few creases and things on there, as you would normally expect, and if they're accurate or not to the actual movie costume, I don't particularly know. At the very bottom, we do also have the inclusion of the 7th Doctor's shoes, which have just been painted in a rather dark brownish, almost grey colour, which once again do feature a few details here and there. However, the majority of this has of course been drowned out by the dark colour used over the top. And finally, for sculpting and detail, we have the likeness to Sylvester McCoy. Now, of course, alongside the other B&M exclusive 2019 collector sets, we have already seen this sculpt in fact used as a part of the 7th Doctor Silver Nemesis set, and they've once again decided to use the solemn non-hatted head, meaning that once again the hatted grinning design has pretty much remained a Forbidden Planet exclusive over the years, which I don't mind. I think there's an element of collectability to that because of the sculpt only being used within that series, and to be honest, I think this design is nice enough as it is. I think that the non-hatted head does suit this figure rather well. Much like the previous 7th Doctor from the Silver Nemesis set, I'm very impressed with the paint application on this. Some other figures of the other Doctors in the past, let alone some of the other humanoid characters as well, have looked a little bit weird. Some of the paint apps haven't been as sharp as other releases. However, I think that this figure is a good combination between a very good sculpt and likeness to Sylvester McCoy, along with a nice amount of paint application added over the top. We have a really nice amount of detailing on the eyes, including the iris in the very middle being of course a light blue, and the subtle addition of the eyebrows over the top as well, which don't really look too over the top, along with the natural paint application over the lips. If you look very closely, we do also have a few creases and wrinkles around the sides of the mouth, as well as at the top of the forehead, adding a little bit of aging to McCoy as well, which is a nice touch. Tilting the figure around to the side, this figure does have a very nice side profile, once again very much looking like the actor, and then taking a look at the back, we have the inclusion of your regular hair design. However, this time round, and unlike the Silver Nemesis set, from what I can see, the hair has been given a slightly more sharper grey highlight to maybe give the impression of Sylvester being at the later half of his era, once again being a little bit older, which I do quite like this, and it brings out some of those curls and the additional bits of detail that would normally be lost within the darker paint apps a little bit more than they normally would be, so I appreciate the inclusion of the grey paint apps over the top. And simply for curiosity, here is a comparison side by side with the regular 7th Doctor from the B&M exclusive Silver Nemesis set, alongside the Big Finish variation of costume. Even though these figures are both exactly the same sculpt, I think that they both look really nice in their design. And if you are looking for a strikingly different variation of the 7th Doctor to add to your collection, then this set certainly includes one of those. So now moving on to the second figure of the set, which is of course the Axis Strike Squad Dalek from the Doctor Who Big Finish spin-off series, Gallifrey. Now, I haven't actually listened to the box set that this Dalek does come from, so I don't really know any background about the Axis or anything like that. However, I may get round to it at some point, because I have been thoroughly enjoying Big Finish's recent output of the Gallifrey Time War series, and may venture back into some of their previous releases at some point. The general colour scheme of this Dalek is once again very visually striking. However, it wouldn't look out of place within new series Doctor Who. It is a really nice blend between the bronze or the darker bronze design, and of course those subtle elements added over the top of the black hemisphered skirt, and of course the black dome in there as well. So starting off at the very bottom of the Dalek, as per usual, we have your standard sculpt that has been used of the modern, more slimmer variation of 2005 Bronze Dalek, sculpted in your standard black plastic, and we have the different panels on this, along with the detailing of the rivets sculpted into each individual panel. However, it is a shame that these haven't been painted. Using just a silver paint app over the top would have been quite nice, or maybe even having a weathered design running around the rest of the fender just to bring out some of those details, maybe having a few browner brush strokes in there, really nicely emphasising the black design. However, instead, this is just one standard basic colour. The paint application choice of having black hemispheres over the regular bronze is something of which that works incredibly well. I never quite expected it to work this well, however it does. It really nicely sets this Dalek apart from the others. The actual paint apps over the top of this are not a matte black, however they do look quite glossy as well, which makes them stand out even further, and the actual bronze design is also a little bit darker than your usual bronze Dalek. Just bringing in one of the Crucible Daleks here to give a little bit of a comparison. As you can see, they are quite obviously different. This is in fact a much darker bronze, and this one is a much cleaner, regular bronze design, I suppose. So we do have a little bit of a almost burnt effect added over the top of this. As you can see, a few smears and things around the side. You may be able to see a little blemish there as well. Once again, making this Dalek feel rather powerful, like it's just came out of a battle within the Time War, which is a really cool touch. More of this, once again, can be seen around the back of this Dalek, where we don't just have a standard clean bronze, but as I say, that weathering applied over the top. A really lovely touch and really nicely sets this Dalek apart, and is certainly a lot more effective compared to that of the Dalek that comes with the War Doctor, just using a regular silver design that doesn't stand out as much. Midsection of the Dalek is as detailed and as brilliant as ever, including a lot of slats around the side that have been given some really nice individual paint apps. As you can see, turning the Dalek onto its side, we have the inclusion of the rivets at the top as well as at the bottom, but not only this, we also have a weathering design that has been applied over the top. As you can see on this golden band here, once again it's not just a clean golden colour, but we do have a few smears and things running around the side, which really nicely emphasises the different panels here on the gun holder socket, as well as around to the back as well, nicely emphasising the slats and the bronze design underneath, which is once again a much darker colour. Rotating around to the front, of course the actual weaponry sockets once again have this circular gold section around the very side, and the weaponry is just your standard design, having the slimmer gun. Then on the opposite side we do also have the inclusion of the Manipulator Arm. Once again this is a thin, longer plastic that has been painted silver, and then at the very end we do have the sucker itself, which has been split off into its individual panels, very much like a new series bronze Dalek. As you can see in the very middle here, once again it is not just a regular circular design, but we do have a few lines and things coming around this, which is a great attention to detail. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, you will know this already, but my Dalek came packaged with a little bit of a quality control issue, where this weaponry section at the very front was stuck on, however too far to the right, meaning that it kind of overhanged at this side, and then there was a big gap here, and obviously it's not meant to be like that, it is meant to be central. Luckily I did manage to faff on a little bit with a hairdryer in order to in fact heat up the plastic, making it a bit more flexible, and I managed to bend the weaponry pad back into place. However, just as a word of warning, as with buying any character options Dalek really, when you are in the shop and when you are selecting your product, look at the weaponry to check that it's not too bent, and make sure that the Dalek is in fact intact and in the right places in order to get a Dalek that isn't damaged. The barrel section of the Dalek is once again exactly the same sculpt to usual, and therefore all of the brilliant details do of course come across from the previous releases. So we have the almost mesh grating section in the very middle that as per usual has been painted black, and then over the top of this we have the darker bronze highlights of the dishes around the side. There isn't in fact any paint bleeds on this, which I'm really happy to see. The paint application seems to be incredibly crisp, really nicely emphasising that detailed sculpt underneath. And then, of course, to finish off the detailing on this Dalek, we have the inclusion of the dome. This time round it has been painted a matte black colour, making this Dalek stand out further from your regular 2005 bronze Dalek releases. This is once again split into a number of different panels and sections, including the eye stalk section here, which once again has a few detailed rivets around the side, and we do also have the inclusion of the ear bulbs there as well, which have once again been sculpted in your standard translucent plastic. The eye stalk is your regular design, including the silver paint apps as well as the clear dishes in the very middle, and there is also the inclusion of the blue paint tap at the end of the eye stalk. A really lovely feature is the inclusion of the Dalek name tag just underneath the eye stalk section, which I am really surprised to see, considering that this is the only Dalek within this wave to in fact feature the identification tag, and normally on the more budget figures this is in fact left out, so I'm really happy to see it included, especially because this figure has got a black dome, meaning that that name tag does in fact stand out a little bit more than it would normally on a regular bronze dome release. And finally, to finish off this review, giving a comparison with the Axis Strike Squad Dalek next to some of the previously released character options, slimmer new series Daleks from the range, I think this Dalek generally fits in really well, especially alongside the Dalek Scientist that has of course been released alongside the War Doctor, as well as alongside the 50th anniversary Toys R Us exclusive Parting of the Ways Emperor Guard Dalek. I think there's just something really nice about these figures and the way that they have slightly different coloured domes to the rest of the Dalek body. Of course, naturally also comparing this Dalek bronze-wise from all of the others, we have a very dark design here on this Dalek, kind of like a midpoint, almost fudge bronze design, which I think works incredibly well. So overall, for the Doctor Who B&M exclusive 2019 7th Doctor and Axis Strike Squad Dalek Big Finish collector set, I think that once again, much like the 8th Doctor and Dalek Interrogator Prime, this is an interesting and creative Doctor Who 2-pack, and one of which that will look brilliant on the shelves, and something that is different from previous 7th Doctor and Bronze Dalek releases that we've seen so far within the range. If your main thing with Doctor Who action figures is accuracy, then this set is probably not for you, because a 7th Doctor is very reminiscent to what is seen within the movie through the use of the colours, especially within the top half and the trousers of the figure. However, compared to the actual costume itself, it's not really anything like it. If you want a screen accurate figure to that costume, then it would require a brand new sculpt entirely, and no doubt even a brand new head sculpt, and at that point within the Doctor Who Classic Series line of action figures, that is in no way going to happen. Therefore, this is essentially a compromise, and I think a pretty good one at that. It is a very interesting costume, very visually different from the previous 7th Doctors from the range, and the Dalek itself is also a nice inclusion. I particularly love the shade of bronze that has been used. It's not as clean as the other new series Daleks that we've seen previously within the line. It's a nice combination of darker bronze colours, and also the inclusion of weathering over the top makes this figure look less like an action figure and a toy, however more so a model. It looks more powerful and a lot more expensive, and something that you would expect in a premium higher brand product as opposed to just a regular toy. But if you are a figure collector and a Big Finish fan, then this set is something of which that I definitely recommend buying. It looks brilliant, it will be nice in the box as well if you're somebody who doesn't like to take your figures out of their packaging, and I think it's probably one of the better sets that have been released from the B&M line this year. It is certainly without a doubt one of the highlights, along with the 8th Doctor and Dalek Interrogator Prime. So thank you for watching this review, I hope you have enjoyed it. If you are interested by this set, as well as the other Big Finish Doctor Dalek collector sets, I have already reviewed the 8th Doctor and Dalek Interrogator Prime, and a review of the War Doctor alongside a Dalek Scientist will be coming in the next few days, so keep an eye out for that video when it is uploaded. So thanks for watching this review, and stay tuned for more Doctor Who content every single week on The Host Productions, and on that note, I will see you all next time. Bye for now.